You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to or during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
When the wolf is at your door, your running's over, that's for sure. He already knows all about you. Cut you down, no matter by you. Now you better walk the line. Real life, real
Warning. This episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, may contain descriptions of acts of violence or that of a sexual nature and should be for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off of the internet or from some television show. The facts I'm retelling you were presented to me by the victims of the crimes or the perpetrators who committed the crimes against the victims. My descriptions of the crime scenes, what I saw with my own two eyes. If you're going to get offended, please turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Woody Overton. And today, I am going out on a limb and saying I have a special guest in the studio. To me, you're an investigative hero, right? Only because I think you're a lot like me and you're not afraid to take on the worst of the worst, and you're unfiltered, basically. Yep. And they always say, hey, Woody's unfiltered. But I have Miss Kiran Chawla, and say hello.
Hi, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, y'all, and give you a little bit of her history, and then we're just going to go kind of raw in a script and talk about some things, and I don't really have anything planned.
Let's do it.
I want everybody to know who you are. I want all my lifers, and that's what I call my fans affectionately, lifers, to know who you are and where you're going and what you're doing, and that I think you are the female me of the journalism world.
Well,
right?
I really appreciate that. That is a huge compliment.
I appreciate you being here, and it's a huge deal and a huge blessing, and I can't wait to continue to see how much success you're going to have and what we can do together in the future. So that being said, tell me about yourself.
Goodness. So I have about 22 years under my belt when it comes to journalism. Right. That's weird to say because I'm only 21.
Yeah, right. You look like you're 19. Yeah.
Maybe I should go up to 25 now.
Yeah.
I am first generation, born and raised in the U.S. My parents, nationality-wise, are from India. Right. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned and value I've taken from mom and dad is hard work.
Right.
Is always worth it. I didn't have anybody guiding me in journalism's path. I got in and I've worked my butt off to, I guess, get where I am today.
Right.
God's guided that path to where I feel like he's really put the people in my life like you guys or the team that we have now with Unfiltered. Right. And I don't ever feel like I've ever been alone. Either God's always with me, my family's with me, my friends, my coworkers.
And hard work pays off.
It does.
Let me tell you something that you have, and I can see just convinced that I know I have, and a lot of people don't have, is you have that oomph. You got the drive, you got the want to, and the burn and the passion, and it comes out in your reporting.
Thank you.
So I'm going to tell you and skip ahead just a second. I remember distinctly the first time I saw you, and I was with the state police, and you were doing an interview. I can't remember what case it was, right outside of the building, outside of my office door. And I watched you over the years as your career morphed into what it is today. So back to the journalism side, how did you decide to get into journalism?
Granted, this was back in high school, y'all. Right. So something clicked, I think, a junior year of high school. So what am I, 16, 17 still? That's now you look back at it and it's like, wow, that's really young. Yeah. What inside of me clicked? I wanted to help people. Right. What better way to help people than be their voice?
There you go.
And that still stands true till today.
And it goes exactly what I want to do is help people, right?
Yes.
It's just in a different way.
Yep.
And actually the voice for the victims.
Yep.
And you do the same thing, just on a different level.
We actually have a franchise called Victim's Voice.
Really?
And oddly, that franchise within Unfiltered, yes, we just put out a story recently about it. That franchise probably pulls the highest viewership, and it gives a platform for victims of crime.
And since I've solved cold cases using the podcast, and before it was on Dateline and all that, and we went number one in the world, I used to get like maybe 2 or 3 requests from around the world on people wanting me to help their family, solve their cases. Now I get like 10 a day.
Oh, I believe it.
And I'm going to do something, a new podcast called #Justice4. Even if I can't work all these cases and solve them, I can give the voice to them. And that these grieving families, that's what they want.
That's it.
And
somebody to hear them.
And I always tell my listeners that, hey, it could be your mama or your brother that was murdered, or your daddy that was murdered or killed, and they don't have the voice. They're not getting the coverage, and for whatever reasons, it may fall through the cracks or not being worked. But you bring it and you put the spotlight on this case. And again, I'm skipping ahead. So where'd you go to school?
I went to Loyola University in New Orleans, and I majored in broadcast journalism. No, I did not. I majored in mass communications. Broadcast journalism doesn't separate, but under mass communications was broadcast journalism, and then criminal justice was my minor.
That was my shit too, right?
Yep.
So, pardon me if I curse. This is part of what I do. So that's cool, right? So
I loved it.
The criminal mind fascinates me.
It does. The criminal classes were amazing, and at Loyola, they were majority of them were night classes, and it was a lot of lawyers and cops in those classes. But something gripped me from the very beginning about that. So why not use journalism to cover crime, which so much of what journalism is now is crime.
It is. And like in the podcast world, it's the biggest genre is true crime.
Yep.
Okay. And then you graduate and...
I started working. I had already been working. I spent all of college working in a newsroom in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And I think I actually came to Baton Rouge first to start a reporting job. Stayed there about a year or so. Went to Jackson, Mississippi, reporter, fill-in anchor. Back to New Orleans for a little while as a reporter. Covered the BP oil spill and some of the big stories that were happening there. And then came to Baton Rouge. And up till then, I had been moving a lot. Right. In this profession, you do have to move a lot. And I thought I was signing a 2-year contract with my former employer, but 2 years in, I was hooked.
That's it.
This became home. Like, this was the first spot that I was able to, like, I felt like I could put my claws in. Yes. And Baton Rouge became home, and now I'm here. Wow, 14 years. Baton Rouge is home now.
Yeah, there you go. And you were sensational in your investigative reporting for your former employer. And so then you branch out on your own, right? I did the same thing. I left, the cush job and everything else, and I was led to do it. And tell me how Unfiltered got started.
So we did not end on good terms with my former employer. I was terminated from there. The rug was pulled from beneath me. I've had this conversation it's like your identity was stolen from you.
Right.
To give them 10 years of loyal work. I mean, I've put anybody and everybody on the back burner, be it a holiday, be it whatnot. My job came first, and it did. It felt like the rug was pulled from beneath me. Where do I go now? Now what do I do? And they played it dirty.
Yeah.
I've taken the high road and not spoken ill or anything, but it was rough. I was held to a non-compete, so for a whole year I was kept out of the loop. I was trying to interview for jobs, but it's deep COVID, so there's hiring freezes everywhere. And the odd thing is, though, now looking back, I still remember I was on a Zoom interview with a TV station with the news director, and the look in his face I saw when I told him, I said I was terminated from my previous employment. I was not going to hide that.
Right.
The look in his face was just like, oh, what? And I knew in that very moment, this job's not happening.
Right.
But that same night, after I finished the Zoom conversation, I went to my laptop and I created my logo. The logo that is there today, and I'm not saying it's a perfect logo. It's not. My magnifying glass probably needs to actually focus on the UN. But I made that logo, and that's why it's historic. It means something to me because that day, I sat down and I created that logo. And from then on, from February to June, because I was still under a non-compete, I had decided, you know what? I've knocked on every door, this door, this door, this door, but God wanted me to keep going straight.
Absolutely.
And he had a door open for me.
Absolutely.
This was that door.
Absolutely. And it may not have been the door that you chose. So, again, our stories are very similar. That's why I didn't get fired, or what are you going to call it? I kept praying to God to show me the way.
Yes.
Because my side polygraph business and everything was, getting so big. And then I gave them all my loyalty and gave all the holidays and everything else, and never had a case that it didn't solve for them, et cetera. And then they forced my hand as a man. They called me on one thing, which is totally false, and I was exonerated on it. And I said, "You'll never call me back in here again." And 2 weeks later, they called me back in on another thing that I knew was totally false. And I said, they read my police officer Bill of Rights, and said, "You want to answer questions about this?" I said, "No, give me 2 minutes." I went to my office. I typed out my resignation letter, and I said, I can give you my 2 weeks. I said, "You go do your job." And they came back in 2 weeks. They're like, "No, they want you to stay. The colonel wants you to stay." And it's totally unfounded. They lied. I said, "Bye-bye."
Too late.
And so God forced me, right?
Yep.
And just like you got forced. But guess what? You're doing great, right?
Thank you.
And so you started it, and
June of 21, the day that I was fired, because it made exactly 1 year, I've turned that day, and I'm not going to lie, I cried. I was very torn. I didn't know what just happened. They came at me to where I did not see this coming at all. I mean, I was set up with a story that day.
Right.
If you knew you're going to do this to me, why even let me go through the morning meeting and set me up with a story only to terminate me an hour later?
Right.
So it was a rough day, but I chose to turn that rough day into a positive day. I celebrate that day because it is now the anniversary of when Unfiltered launched.
And
June 9th of 2021 is when we launched.
And you became free and were able to do what you do now, which is tell the raw, unscripted truth, unfiltered truth. Mine's unscripted. And you just, you got guts, girl.
Thank you.
And I know, because I know what I do, and I've had everything from death threats to windows shot out of my truck to, whatever. You're always, even the bad guys have loved ones, right? And so I know what kind of guts it takes, especially to do what you do. And,
You're watching your back constantly.
That's it. But I'm aware, but I'm not afraid.
Same.
Right? And so tell me, tell me one of your first biggest cases with Unfiltered that you remember that you're like, just, I have so many, but I have some that I can tell you that I'm so personal about, right? I got personally attached to or whatever. I know not personal, but I feel so vehement about to this day.
Investigations or news in general?
Investigations.
We launched out the door with a 30-minute special of an investigation, and I think a lot of people said, oh, she's only doing BRPD. No, nobody was really touching BRPD. So, yeah, I picked up where nobody was touching. But we launched.
You know why they weren't touching. I know why they weren't touching.
I think we all do.
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. But tell us about it real quick.
The very first one, in fact, I still remember in my head, I wrote the story. So I wrote a script. Mm-hmm. Well, I was by myself back then, and I had begged a media lawyer to kind of come on, needed someone to make sure we don't get sued or anything. And she was like, okay, I'll do it on a trial basis on the very first one. That poor thing, we've now put out on June 9th of 2021, hey, launching tomorrow, here comes the big one. Yeah. Well, I wrote this script that ended up being almost 10 pages. Right. And this has always been a bad thing of me. I don't know how to write short. Right. Well, I'm editing it too. I was everything in the very beginning. So 35 minutes of editing, TV editing.
Right.
I mean, shot, edited, audio, everything. And it's 4 a.m. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I'm nowhere near done, but I have to make deadline. I have to launch the next day. That was the first time in my life I pulled an all-nighter. Never in college.
Yeah.
But the story did so well because it was the truth. It was a BRPD officer who was wronged, and we had all the proof showing what all he was doing and what the treatment was, how the chief handled it. And it very clearly showed that it was personal for the chief.
And that same chief is the reason I left the state police. So tell us the name of the episode, because I want all lifers to go.
Sure.
Go listen to the.
We post all of our stuff on YouTube. We have a channel called Unfiltered with Kiran, and we've done a playlist with investigations. And I'll be honest. Several of our investigations are very heavy on the Baton Rouge Police Department because nobody else touches it.
Nobody else touches it. No.
And a lot of our investigations.
Nobody else has the guts.
Well, thank you.
I have the guts, and I'll tell them that, I don't care. And then you have the guts, and that's what people like about you, right? And you have it or you don't. And yet, a lot of people, they know the same thing that but they don't have the guts, right?
Well, and maybe in some of these people's defense, I don't know if it's guts because I've fought the system for a while. My sources are amazing. They would give me the story. I would take it to management. They'd say no.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not. I don't have that problem.
The management, at some point, someone didn't have the guts.
Yes.
And then.
Or you don't want to mess up that relationship. Let's be honest. I'm in the middle of a lawsuit with the Baton Rouge Police Department because they refuse to let us inside of press conferences that are in public buildings paid by tax dollars.
Exactly.
I'm not allowed in them.
Right.
Our videographer was escorted out of the building.
Yeah.
And somebody who had been in media for 20, 30 years, it killed him. I'm
going to go out on a limb and say, you're going to beat their ass on that lawsuit. And you know that already, right? So that's them doing what they do. Certainly, we're not knocking all BRPD.
There are some great people.
Great guys there, especially over the years. But,
and gals.
Wendy Richard being one of them, but she's retired now. But they're great ones. But certainly in every profession there are bad ones, and they think I have so much power, I can just keep carrying out of a public meeting.
That's exactly what it's become.
Oh, you know what? You just pissed off Karen.
Well, and the funny thing is,
let's dance.
They have tried their best to do press conferences, and we still find out. We still show up, and it is what it is. Every time they are keeping us out, there's no valid reason for keeping us out.
And they're going to have to answer for that one.
They will.
Right? And that's because you're a pit bull, right? and you didn't back down from them. So that's all.
Well, and Woody, let me, say this. You asked me one of my most memorable investigations that I've done. I still remember getting the tip that Baton Rouge Police Department back in 2000 fired a guy and that he's been rehired. He was fired for, now I can't remember the charges, something sexually related and that he's been rehired. And I'm thinking, do what? No, that's not even possible. Well, so I said, okay, it's the tip. Let me at least start digging. When I found that it's absolutely true, I was just taken aback that, is this really even happening? Well, then the mom of the person who was abused in 2000, when we ended up talking, that poor mother,
destroyed. To
get her justice, I don't have to make a penny in what I do, but my heart was full.
That's it.
That man, that officer was fired again, or either he resigned in lieu of termination. My heart was full. You brought that. All because of nobody touched it. Nobody will touch it because I did it.
Yeah, and you brought the heat and your heart's full. And I get that, like on Courtney Coco's case, a cold case I solved in her family. Every murder victim I ever had, pretty much, even the high risk ones, their family becomes my family.
Well, of course.
And I mean, I guess I'm empathetic in a way, and then to stand up like you're doing, stand up and when nobody else would stand up for them.
Yep.
18, 19 years old, and I solve it in 6 weeks.
Yep.
And I'm going against the powers that be.
Yep.
The shoddy police work and everything else. Hell, I bleed blue, and I love cops. I spent my whole career doing it. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. But somebody's got to stand up.
Exactly.
Somebody's got to do it, and you're doing it in the way you do it, and I do it the way that I do it. And I had Courtney's bracelet, the little glow in the dark bracelet, and I just lost it in this hunting season, and I'm gonna find it in the woods. But her mama gave it to me. And I had it for like 70 years, and you couldn't even read the words on it anymore. I wouldn't take it off. Right.
The Live Like Allie?
Yeah.
The bracelet that the family gave me, the words are off of it. The Nick Touye bracelets.
Yes.
They're all, the wording is all off.
Right.
And in fact, Allie Rice's dad, Paul Rice, gave me a yellow rose out of the funeral, the day of the services, out of all the bouquets. As I was leaving, he said, I want to give you this rose.
That's
I still have that rose. It is in my curio, and every time I look at that rose, I am reminded of that case.
So Courtney's mama gave me her high school graduation picture and her cheerleading picture, and I had it on my bedside and one of my trucks. So she was the last thing I saw at night, first thing I saw in the morning. And my youngest son, after I solved it and everything, the guy's in Angola now doing life. But my youngest son had told me after he solved it on Dateline, he said, Daddy, I wouldn't come by your bed because I knew that girl was dead, but now I know she's in heaven and the bad guy's in prison. So that's it. And
it's the fulfillment
ultimately, I was going to put Courtney's bracelet in my trophy case in my, I call it my headquarters with man cave / bar, and I have a studio up top. Yeah, damn it, I lost it. But so I get that, and I thank you for being the voice for those people, right? And you know what it feels like.
I do.
You can't.
It's the best feeling in the world.
You can't put a price tag on. I get God bumps right now.
And the funny thing is, Woody, that in fact, I know that's what we're going to talk about too, but in our very first episode on our podcast, we talked with the entire staff. I wanted it to be an entire staff of the whole team as Unfiltered with Kiran.
Right.
I know technically the name is Unfiltered with Kiran, but it's not a Kiran show. It's all of us. And to hear from a lot of them for the very first time, why are you even working with us? Mm-hmm. So many of them said, we get to be the voice for the voiceless, or we get to hold a powerful accountable, that it's not just me doing this. It is an entire team doing exactly what you just said, that fulfillment of helping someone.
You're exactly right. And I'll reach out on that even a little bit further. I do what I do, and I do it well, right? But I can't do it without the support of my Jim Chapmans and you know the people that surround me, because they are strong where I'm weak, and vice versa. So shout out to your team.
Yes, thank you. And they're awesome.
It's amazing. Let me ask you. I pretty much can guess the answer to this. What is the most difficult part of your job?
That I cannot get to every single person.
Exactly. Right?
That kills me.
And when I told you I get these requests every day, I'm like, I wish I could.
Yes.
And I wish I could, but there's only so much of you to go around. And you know what? It's exhausting too. And I mean, it takes a toll. And I know it is what we do, but hell, I mean, just, I bleed for these people and I cry with them and everything. And then you want to, as I do, you want to do it correctly.
Yes.
And I'm not going to put my name on something.
No, I'm not going to half-ass a job.
Exactly.
Yep.
Do a job big or small, do it right or not at all. No half-assing. You want to do it correctly, and you put so much energy, I think because we're the same, you put so much energy into it, it's just like all-encompassing. And I don't know if you have this problem, but after I solve a homicide or whatever, even in my career as a homicide detective, when I'd be juiced for so long and get it, and when it was over with, and you bring it to conclusion, I get almost depressed. And I call it H&H. I like a homicide hangover, like, well, what am I going to do
Now
now?
what?
Right?
Now what? Because that adrenaline is pumping for however long. I mean,
who understands that?
I do.
Yeah.
But when you've been working on an investigation, there have been times that, in fact, one of the ones we're on right now, we're probably about 2 months in on working on it. Some investigations are going to turn real quick. It's a pulling of a document or something along those lines, a few days, a few weeks. The ones that you've been doing for months, you're right. You've been pumping and pumping and going and going, and all of a sudden it's done, and it's like, wait, what now? What?
Exactly. What am I going to do next? I'm the only one I have open, but not because I don't know what happened, but because knowing and being able to prove it in a court of law, two different things.
Yes.
It's Barbara Blunt's case, and I think it's like 15 years now, and I think about it every single day, and I get people messaging me about it every day, and I have my tip line and all that, and that one, will always be with me, and I'm sure you have it.
We've also received messages on that, hey, any help, but yep.
So let me ask you this. It just popped in my head. I find, since being out of law enforcement, and I take on these cases and I put them on the podcast, and I ask for tips, et cetera, people will call me and tell me stuff they won't tell the cops.
Same.
So you get that?
We do. We have a tip line, so you can remain anonymous. A lot of our messages, believe it or not, come in through Facebook Messenger.
Yes, I get
but
a lot of that.
There are times that law enforcement has called us and said, your report said your sources are telling you X, Y, Z. Can you please reach back out to those people and tell them to reach out to us because we don't have that information.
Exactly. And even like on Barbara Blunt's case, Sheriff R reached out to me to put it on the podcast, right? And to try to solve it and whatever. But I just think that's really interesting.
It is.
And that's how we solve cases.
Well, you have to be able to work hand in hand. That's not me saying we're going to cover for law enforcement.
No.
It's not. But we have to be willing to work hand in hand with them, because at the end of the day, so often what happens with us is that we'll get information. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Baton Rouge Police is a prime example. We're getting information, but because they don't want to work with us, we're not being able to hand it off to someone. At the end of the day, I'm a reporter, meaning I report the news. I can't be the one arresting anybody or doing anything along those lines.
You just gave me God bumps again.
But that's every other agency?
I have to go against these agencies on these cases that I've solved, and because of the work was bad or whatever, and I know that, I get my fans to call in and melt the lines and everything else. I'm going to do the call to actions on it. But ultimately, holy shit, I've got to get the information I give because I'm no longer law enforcement. I have to hand it back over to the very same people that I've been bashing. And I'm not bashing them. I'm telling the facts.
Pointing out.
I'm telling the facts that this is the truth. I got you on a recording in Louisiana being one part consent state.
Yep.
I have them lying to the family, the victim's family members and stuff, and I have the proof. And it's just, you know what? Screw you. If you're not going to do your job and you do it, I'm going to bring the heat on you, right? And you do the same thing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I got to give it back to them to make the arrest.
I'll tell you this, that I have people, in fact, when I walked in here, I was texting with somebody, and I've called out police chiefs, sheriffs.
Absolutely.
I call
out DAs. I did them all.
The funny thing is, a few years later, a few months later, those same people will come back and say, you know what, I learned you are a solid reporter. Right. It wasn't personal. I thought you had something personal against me, and that's why you were coming after me. Yep. But in reality, what I did was wrong. I've learned from my mistake. And we've become the best of friends. I'm
going to give a shout out to Hugh Holland, special prosecutor, that when he took on Courtney's case and all he heard was bad from the DA, and then of course the DA had to bring him in, and the detectives and blah blah blah. And when the trial started, he brought me out in the hall and he said,
he said, brother, I just want to apologize to you and tell you I got you wrong. I got bad information, and now I know. And
it feels
to
good.
This day, he will send me stuff on other stuff that I can't talk about.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, one thing that never changes, Karen, is the truth.
That's it.
And I'm not going to change the way I work.
Same.
If you want to go to war, we can go to war. But hopefully, all we really want to do, I'm not against you. All I really want to do is give the victims
justice.
That's it.
Closure, something.
Something.
If we can do that, that's all that matters.
And you're a beast on that. And it's just lifers, y'all need to go listen. And I'm going to let you tell everywhere, and then we're going to talk about your podcast, okay? But y'all need to go listen, or you're more video.
We have videos as well, our website, an app.
And so let's talk about that. I want y'all to go listen. If you want a female Woody Overton version that is coming from the investigative journalist standpoint, which to me is almost like, I guess that's what I do now on working these cases and stuff, but go listen to it. She's fire. She's a pistol, and she's not afraid to back down. But now tell me about, let's start with Unfiltered, and tell me everything, where they can go listen and like and share. And y'all follow her and subscribe and do all that, because I promise you, she's not bringing you anything that's boring.
We're not. So Unfiltered with Kiran, which it's not Karen, it's Kiran. Right. It's Indian. I came up with this concept of, we're not watching TV. People are not watching TV, the 5, 6, 10 o'clock news, the way they used to.
Right.
But you always have a phone in your hands.
Right.
So we're 100% digital media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We have a website.
What's it on
They're
there?
all Unfiltered with Kiran.
Right.
Everything is Unfiltered with Kiran. The website is unfilteredwithkiran.com. Our first year anniversary, we launched an app, and believe it or not, I'm still shocked to see that.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
I have my own.
Thank you.
And we were the first true crime podcast to officially have our own app, and it's like 3 years running now.
Yep.
So
And
that's a whole different.
Yep.
monster.
We are about a year and a half in to the app.
So they can go to the app
Go
store.
to the app store and make sure you
Unfiltered.
turn on the notifications, because as soon as news is happening,
I get your
yes.
alerts. Yeah.
So those are some of the ways, and then obviously YouTube is.
And obviously your app is free.
Yes, app is free.
Go to the app store, download it. That's a great way to get it, right?
Yes, and everything is on the app. You can search. Right. Everything is there. Now, as far as videos, a lot of times if we're doing the investigations on the website or the app, the link will take you to the YouTube video. All of our videos and investigations, even the positive stories, everything's uploaded to our channel. It's called Unfiltered with Kiran. But in today's day and age, every TV is a smart TV.
Right.
You pull up Unfiltered with Kiran's channel on YouTube, and now you're watching the exact same thing there. But if your investigations, go to the investigations playlist. You want some softer stories?
It's broke down.
It's all broke down for you.
I'm interrupting you. I know because I'll be honest, I don't watch the softer stories. I like the
hardcore.
I do
Everybody's different.
But you do the good stuff.
We
too.
do.
Yeah,
I think we have.
I unfortunately don't get to do the good stuff.
We have to balance it out, because there is so much good our community does.
Right, and that shout out for you for doing that.
Yes, I mean, I remember during Christmas, I think our social media content manager, she lights up every morning. We have an editorial meeting. She lights up when she pitches. I got this story. These 3 little girls, they're making bracelets, and all the money they raised, they picked up a student at their school and made Christmas for that girl, I can't remember. But it's those stories that around Christmas or something, we all as a human being,
we need those too.
when we ourselves, when it's been murder and death and
so
another
much
wreck,
darkness,
we need the positive to be like, oh, a 14-year-old did what? He rescued a family out of a burning house?
Yeah, and that's good in the world.
Yes.
Right? And unfortunately, so many times, I've looked into the face of evil, but you know what? You're absolutely right. the devil's real, but God is real too.
Yes.
And so that's awesome. So, and I know I keep interrupting you. This is what I do. So on YouTube and the app and
all of it. YouTube, app, website, TikTok, Instagram.
All under Unfiltered.
All under Unfiltered with Kiran.
All right. And y'all go check it out.
Please.
Listen and like and subscribe, whatever is appropriate for whatever
platform you prefer.
Right, platform you prefer. So now I want to talk about something that the news of the day, if you will, and let's talk about the newest platform and venture you're going into, which is part of what we're sitting right here right now.
A podcast.
Right. Tell me about that.
It is called Louisiana Unfiltered. We chose to do a little bit different. So this one's going to be called Louisiana Unfiltered. This week, we just dropped our very first episode, and it's more so of kind of what you're listening to now, but it may be a deeper dive of who I am, how this all got started, my breakdown, but then I didn't want it to be all about me, and I've said that from the beginning.
People,
yes.
your tribe,
yes.
Team.
So the last about 40 minutes is you meet every person who works on our team, how they came on to the team, why they're doing it, what their role is. And believe it or not, Woody, within the 40 minutes we were recording, I got lost on time.
Oh, yeah,
we have a blast, but when it comes to breaking news, which I think we even talked about that how this team comes together, the glue that we are. I'm not working right now with me recording. Right. They have it. Right. I leave this company in their hands, and I feel confident that they have it. Right. So I light up when I get to talk about this crew. So it's actually, and I'll go ahead and say this, they are the ones who came to me and said, Kiran, let's launch a podcast. Right. I said, okay, well, if that's what you guys want, they convinced me that this is what is going to happen. They helped. It was one of those that we all came up with the name together, the logo, everything. Mm-hmm. And here we are. Our goal about 3 months ago, when we decided we're going to do this, we started recording a few things and figuring things out. Jim's been instrumental in helping us on that. Thursday when we launched that very first episode, it was just like, I don't know how to explain it. Like when you're going to that very first dance as a little kid or whatever.
Birthing another
yes.
child or something,
like I'm excited.
Right. And you should be. And I think it's going to be fire. Then now let's talk about it real quick. The lifers, when you go listen to it, the first episode is about you and your team.
Yes.
Right. And how it came to be. Now, the second episode,
we get right to it,
and which is
we're going to actually break down and look at the Allie Rice case.
Okay. So y'all that are not familiar, and I know you've done extensive coverage on it, I've had people reach out to me about it so many times, and it's a tragic case of a murder that's still unsolved.
It is, and we talk about that. We're going to talk about the case has gone cold, what that means. Mm-hmm. We remember I still have a news element to me. So, yeah, we bring on a specialist in cold cases to talk about what that means, how to revive it, what happened that night, in case people don't remember. So, yes, your lifers, people who are not from the Baton Rouge area, they may not be aware of this case. So we're going to fill the listeners in on what this case was. Who was Allie Rice? Right. That's the case. That's I told you that I have the bracelet. You can't read the words.
And you got the flower.
And I have, every time I look at that flower, I am reminded it was a young girl who had her life ahead of her and killed.
When I do mine, Kiran, this came to me. I like to put the human face on the victim, all right, and otherwise it could be just a news story. I know you put the human face on your victims. I think that just hit me like a ton of bricks. That's something that's different about you also. It's just not, this happened on such and such date. It's no, this is who this person was. These are who their grieving family members are. And, there's no such thing as a perfect crime. Someone out there knows what happened to Allie Rice.
100%.
And I believe, and I'm getting the God bumps to that, I believe that you pushing it out and you pushing and doing it with your style, and you have a tip line and
we do.
Everything else. And y'all, let's get justice for Allie.
She deserves it. Her parents deserve
right.
it. To watch them grieve. And I mean, Christmas just passed, Thanksgiving, all those holidays.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an empty chair there.
Let me tell you something. The all the parents I've dealt with of murdered children, hell, that's a club that you don't want to be a part of. And it's like, everybody knows what a cold case is, or everybody knows what a murder is, but I equate it to having a migraine. Everybody knows what a migraine is, but unless you are going through one at that exact moment,
you don't understand
you don't get it, and you'll never get it.
Nope.
But I'd ask you to think about, what if Allie was your sister or your daughter?
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Or your granddaughter, or,
And I'll also even say this. There are so many parents out there. Imagine getting a knock on your door in the middle of the night.
I used to be the one that did the knocks.
Yeah.
And destroyed lives forever.
And every officer I've spoken to says that is the worst part of their job.
Absolutely. And the best part, it doesn't, there's no such thing really as closure, but
you have
the best
answers.
part is getting the justice.
Yes.
And I want, y'all certainly listen to the first episode so you can get a more detailed on Kiran, but the second one, which is going to drop
next Thursday. So we're going to aim to do one a week.
Right.
And again, we're just coming out, so we don't know how it's going to do. And we still do news all the time. So we're going to start with one a week on Thursdays.
Right. So y'all certainly go listen. Actually, listen to today's episode or this
week.
This is airing on Saturday. So listen to the first episode that came out on Thursday. Follow it, like, subscribe.
Please.
So that way, anytime she drops a new podcast episode, you're going to get it. But I want you to understand it's going to be different than the first episode. The first episode is who she is and her team is and how it came about. That's important, right? But my fans want to hear
the crime,
the crime stuff.
And I guess I wanted to also be able to let everybody know that every person working on our team,
you're putting
the knowledge that they bring to the table,
Excellent.
that they're not just people who I randomly picked up.
Right.
The news knowledge, the social media knowledge, the videography, the reporting, they've all been doing this. But at the end of the day, you do what you do because you're passionate.
Right.
I do what I do because I'm passionate.
Right.
Same
Same thing.
And not only that, you'll probably see some podcasts that have to do with, let's let you guys handle this one. You take it, the team. I want everybody to be familiar with who they are. You see, you've seen me for years in your living room and you feel that connection.
Right.
Same.
It's the same thing. So I like putting a human face on the victims,
Yes.
putting a human face on the team.
On the team.
On the team, not just behind you, the that work beside you. And
Yep.
like I said, with Jim Chapman and, the people who make you who you are.
Yep.
And allow you to do what you do because they do what they do.
Yep.
But y'all listen to that one. But next Thursday on Allie's, I want you to listen to it and call in your tips. No tip is too small. Y'all have heard me say this 1,000 times. You never know which is going to be
Agreed.
the phone call or the message that's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. And I believe that case can be solved. And
I do too.
Somebody's holding on to something, and somebody saw. So in the cases I saw, Karen, even when I was back in law enforcement, it was always the smallest thing. The person that called, said, "Wow, I didn't really think anything about it at the time," and we're like, "Oh,
Yep.
that's it.
Yep.
That's the smoking gun. That's because they don't know what all other knowledge you have,
Yep.
right? And you're just looking for that one piece."
And there's a massive reward, should I say, not award, a reward
What's it
of
up to now?
$50,000
$50,000.
reward.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. And that's awesome. And so y'all listen, like, subscribe, and then Louisiana Unfiltered.
That's it.
It's priceless. So people can listen on any platform.
We have it
obviously.
on all platforms.
Everything.
Spotify,
just like y'all,
Apple.
y'all, just like Real Life Real Crime, you can find it on anywhere you can have a podcast. You can listen to a podcast. You can get Louisiana Unfiltered, and
give us your feedback,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely.
I welcome
yeah.
it. We have a tip line on our website, and our email is news@unfilteredwithkiran.com. Pretty simple, but feel free to give us your feedback. We're still semi-new on this and hardcore journalists here.
Right.
So any feedback we get, we welcome it, or suggestions, whatever y'all want to hear.
right,
Give it to us.
Will there be a video version?
We will.
And what's
It will also go to our YouTube page.
Okay, so
Unfiltered with
so you're
Kiran.
filming when you record.
Yes.
You're filming.
Yes.
Okay, I get that, and that's a monkey of a different feather or a bird of different whatever. I get them wrong because I used to do it and I just got lazy on it.
I don't know if it's monkey of a different feather.
Probably not.
I don't think
that's probably that's a new
I don't know if
Woodyism.
those two really go together.
New Woodyism. On Thursday, this past Thursday, and y'all getting this on Saturday, unless you're a patron, a convict, you get your commercial-free early releases. But on Thursday morning at 5 o'clock, before I got to come in the studio, I post across all my social media. Make sure to listen to Real Life Real Crime Saturday, the original, and I have a Louisiana Legend, investigative journalist, etc. But we are absolutely going to blow this up everywhere, everything we have, and with the links, right, Jim? He has stuff.
It's a monkey of a different feather.
Yeah, a monkey of a different feather. We're gonna blow you up. I really think you're gonna have a lot more success than you're very. Y'all, I'm gonna tell you this. She's a very humble person. She's legit, and I just think you're gonna do great things.
Thank you.
And I want us to be able to collaborate on stuff too, and maybe there's some things I can help you on, or you can help us on, or whatever. And this will not be the last time.
No, not at all. We've already. I can't remember the case we worked on, but
Madison Brooks.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
because you were back then. We weren't doing podcasts.
Right.
You were doing episodes
Right,
on it, and
right.
we were handling the previous. There was a case where I think Kayvon Washington.
He did.
He had allegedly raped a person
in Livingston Parish.
2-3 years prior.
And then some stuff at the
Yep.
football stadium
Yep.
and all that stuff. And he's appropriately been charged. Then that case is,
In a waiting trial.
In a waiting trial.
First degree
it's
rape.
going to come out. He's actually waiting several trials.
Several. But in Livingston Parish,
Livingston Parish.
First degree, I mean, not in Livingston only, but first degree
Right,
rape
right,
obviously carries life.
Right. Well, in my day, it was called aggravated rape,
Yes.
and they changed it
To first degree now.
But it's a mandatory life
That's
without
The
benefit
option of parole.
So you know what that means? It's going to trial. No defense lawyer is going to plead their client to life in prison without it. So they're going to roll the dice. They're going to do what they do in trial, et cetera. And, the death penalty is off the table. But you can get the death penalty for aggravated, well, whatever they call it now, if it has the aggravating circumstances of the age
Yes.
over and
Yes.
or under the age, et cetera. But only one person has ever been sentenced to death row for that. And they actually got out when the moratorium kicked it, and they're doing life.
The weird thing is, Woody, we talk about it. We're about crime, just talking about that one case. Like all of a sudden, I'm right back in
I
that
know,
very
right.
moment.
Look, people
And-
say this and they say that. I'm like, you just
You
wait.
don't, yeah.
You just
I'm right
wait.
back to. I interviewed that young girl,
Yeah.
and again,
That's
back
right,
then,
that's right.
I was by myself.
Oh, hey, and I remember.
And
Go
she
ahead.
cried and cried. Like I had to take
I
several
remember.
breaks in interviewing her just to console her and get her through. But she was so brave and she made it through that interview.
You know what? It just hit me again. You know what you have? And this is not a kiss-ass statement. I'm telling you for a fact. So I was always very successful at getting people to tell me, especially in law enforcement career, getting people, I call it getting the juice, right? Getting the confessions. But it's not even what you were doing on that. It's not getting the confession. You were getting on whatever level she needed to get her story out.
She
So some
told
people-
her mom to go away.
Right. There you go.
She
That's
told her
not
mom that
comfortable
she
in
did
being
not
around.
want her mom. I remember I did it at a park. Her mom went and walked laps. And she told, in fact, I don't think till this day her mom had to watch the story to learn what all was said, that she didn't feel. It's not uncomfortable. It's maybe odd
Yeah.
to have to
It's-
tell your mom
Absolutely.
that you were allegedly raped.
You know why? Because you feel like your parents, you're gonna let, they're your protectors, and even though it's not their fault, but
you feel like
they were going to feel guilty
Yes.
for it, etc.
Yes.
So I get that, and so you are an excellent interviewer, and I'm talking about getting the juice.
Thank you.
I don't want. The juice always means confessions to me, but it's not really about getting confessions. A lot of times, in my cases, it's like getting the witnesses to break down. I mean, and I say break down, that getting them to be truthful, and that's an art form in itself. You got to be able to read the people and figure out. And it's going to sound bad coming from your angle, how to crack them to get the necessary information. Some people, like when I used to, some people you had to be a little harsh on, some people you had to pray with, some people you had to cry with, whatever it takes to get that information so you can go forward and get justice, right? That's you're an excellent interviewer.
Thank you.
But that's not something you can teach. I was getting confessions before they ever sent me to homicide school and learned the read technique. I was like, that's what I
You
do
need
this
to be able to
anyway.
get on their level.
Right.
Whatever that, and I don't mean that in an education thing. Just
No,
if it's a
no.
90-year-old or if it's a 9-year-old,
Exactly.
you have to be able to
Or
talk to them.
It could be a doctor or a gravedigger. It doesn't matter. And,
Yep.
and you have to be able to treat them as a human being.
That's
And
it.
That is something that most people don't get, and you do that well also.
Thank
so
you.
y'all, when this is not a commercial for Karen, right? Or for Louisiana Unfiltered or whatever. This is, I wanted to do this, and Jim, very instrumental in bringing it together. I want to do this because I believe in this is not kiss ass. I believe in what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I've seen what you do, and I've seen your guts, and I know I don't know what it feels like to have to do that. All right, so we're going to do everything we can for you, but you know what? We don't have to do that much. All they got to do is go listen once, and they're going to be hooked. Right?
I hope so.
But
I've always said this, be it Louisiana Unfiltered, be it Unfiltered with Kiran. This is not a Kiran show. This is not even a team show. This is honestly, we all work together.
Right.
Because I have always said our viewership are our eyes and ears.
Right.
When a wreck happens, when a murder happens, when something happens, y'all send us pictures and emails and messages of what's happening. Here's a picture, here's this. Or if there's major breaking news, before we can even get to the scene, all we got to do is go in our tips and there's pictures and videos of what's happening. We're gluing it all together, but it's not, again, it's not Kiran, it's not Unfiltered. We're all working together, and I want the same for Louisiana Unfiltered.
So let's take it a step higher. And you've talked several times about your team, but also I would kick in that your viewership or your listenership, whatever you're following, the ones that send you these tips and everything else, they're part of your team.
They're amazing.
Like mine, Lifers.
Yes.
I gave them a name.
I love that
play
name.
on that, Down for Life, or, put it in Angola, or just life, whatever. That just, but y'all, if you have something, especially on the breaking news stuff, and whatever, hit them up.
Send it to us.
Send it to us, and I promise you, it'll be done correctly.
It will be. It might not be done at that very moment because, like you said, prime example, Wednesday, there was an arrest made on a woman murdered. Mm-hmm. I know everybody covered that. We did that.
Right.
But the angle on our story was the victim.
Exactly.
We had a picture of the victim. We spoke to the victim's family. It was a domestic violence case. It was so much more than just a guy arrested.
Lifers. That's why you're going to love her and her team. But you're going to love it because you get in the angle of what I do, and which is paint the human face on the victims and the family's pains, right? That's fire. Anything you want to add or take away?
Thank you. I guess ahead of time, and not just to you and to Jim, but to our viewership and to our loyal supporters. Right. Y'all have been holding me up from my former employment days to now. Y'all have followed me. Y'all have pushed me. In fact, half the reason I even launched my own thing was because the push from the public was, do your own thing, do your own thing, do your own thing. And they followed. The Patreon, I'll be honest, in the very beginning, when I launched, it was literally me, myself, and I. So I didn't need too much money. As long as I could pay my bills, I was okay. Patreon, the amount of people who signed up and said, we're going to help this person.
And back.
Yes. Then advertisers came on. But it's the people. And to their credit, I'll even say this. Jim is also part of this, that you guys, first you asked for do your own thing. We launched Unfiltered. Then you said, man, we need an app. We listened to you. We did it. You also told us do an app or a podcast. Right. Here we are. Right. We have listened to you. So again, to you guys, thank you. To y'all, thank you. But we're doing this for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Doing it for everybody. And the real reason, and may never be known, but I'm specifically talking about whether it's an uplifting story in the future that you do that makes someone do something good in life, or whether it's a case that you solve or some corruption that you expose. And you never know who's, and I don't expect to, but you never know whose life you're going to change.
You don't.
And what you're doing. So that's just a lanyard bonus of what we do. And I want to thank you so much. I know you're rocking and rolling, you and your team. You have so much going on, but stick with us.
Thank you.
The people, lifers, y'all go listen, like, follow, subscribe. Especially, I know, listen to the first episode, but I know what y'all want to hear, and So next
It's coming.
Thursday's episode, it's coming.
Yep,
And it's
it's
coming.
coming.
It's coming with fire, lifers. All right. You're a rock star.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, and just loved it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. And so, y'all know I end every show with LOPA, Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency, and you be a hero. Take a minute, sign up to become an organ donor. If you don't have to be from the state of Louisiana, you could be a lifer from, give me a country, anywhere in the world.
India.
You could be a lifer from India, and I've actually used India before, but you can be a lifer from India. Go to lopa.org, take 2 minutes, fill out the form, become an organ donor, and save lives and all that good stuff that they do, right? And y'all know they're my jam. And I'm Woody Overton. Thank you again, Karen. And I'm Woody Overton, your host of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. Until next time, or ever, don't let me catch you down on Murder by Peace. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney prior to and during any question. If you can't afford one, the court will appoint one for you. Do you understand your rights?
And the wolf is at your door.